The thing that is wild about this universe is the more we give up, the more we achieve. The more relaxed we are working towards a goal, the easier that work is, the more work we get done because it doesn't feel like work. If we can fully say, I don't need to change, this is what's happening inside of me and it's fine, I can handle it, let's deal with it, let's see what's going on. Stress is a wonderful function of the human body. It tells us what not to do. It tells us what to stay away from. It tells us what is so important that we should give it a little bit of extra focus and attention. Usually that's reserved for when we're in danger, living in the wild. But today we see it happening all the time. Some people have it for every little daily occurrence, and it's recognized as anxiety today. Sometimes we stress just over big presentations or meetings or speeches or any other really important, life-changing, potentially significant event in our lives. A lot of people are suffering from chronic stress. Every little thing puts them on edge, and it's because of so many things that are bubbling underneath the surface that a wrong coffee order can make us explode. So if we find that we are easily stressed, if we're stressed a lot, there's a lot that we can do about it. And first, we need to recognize what is going on in our mind and body. And what is usually going on, what typically stresses us out, is the insignificant inconveniences, the slight annoyances that go on in our lives regularly, from a slow driver in front of us, or someone paying with a check in line in front of us. And oftentimes it's a coworker who has a different opinion than us, a friend or family member who has a different viewpoint than us. And oftentimes people are unaware of what they're doing, what they're saying, and how they may be hurting someone else. And so we may be receiving some cruelty, some neglect, some very frustrating type of behavior, maybe even someone losing their temper at us. And so how do we maintain our cool? And first, we recognize that we are not in danger. This is not a cheetah in front of us. This is a non-violent person. And we can recognize that we are in no danger. We can leave at any time. And most importantly, that the ego is the only thing that gets hurt, and that there is absolutely no true harm except to the thinking mind, the thoughts in my head, which will tell me how upset I should be, how infuriating this person is. And meanwhile, it is the one giving us these thoughts of anger, giving us this propaganda to become enraged, and this voice in our head whispering to us to get outraged and righteous. And so we become this possessed person. And so if we recognize that voice in that moment, then we activate that higher wisdom, that higher consciousness that gets to choose which thoughts to believe, which to ignore, just like if our boss is saying something to us, or a person on the street we don't know and who is screaming about aliens, we would not listen to that person most likely, and we would listen to what our boss was saying. So we don't mind if even the person screaming about aliens tells us we did bad at work, or if we, are ugly or dumb. We wouldn't care what a stranger thinks on the street. But of course, when it's a loved one, then the context changes everything. And in these situations, it is essential to remember that that is a voice in our head. That is a either homeless person on the street or our inner parent. And we choose what that voice represents to us. The second thing to remember is that human beings are emotional and irrational. And even though someone may not be legally mentally ill, when we lose our temper, when someone who is maybe yelling at us or telling us something we don't want to hear, we can still understand that they may be saying things they don't mean, that they may be lashing out. And something to always remember is that people often are not saying what they're saying. They're really conveying some hurt or some pain that they have felt, and they are lashing out. It may be relevant to us, or it may be completely irrelevant. And neither situation requires us to believe their position, to adopt their mindset, to take on their energy, their opinion, their trauma that they're lashing out. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to literally stop listening to people's words. When someone is being erratic, oftentimes the words have less to do with reality and their body language, their energy, their emotions. The undertone of what they're saying says so much more than those words. And they are usually a cry for attention, for help, and an expression of pain. And so, whether someone is homeless on the street, or a loved one, or a friend, we don't want to yell. We don't want to hurt. We want to support. We just want to make better. We want to not harm, make better if we can. And, if we can't make better, we can at least not make it worse. And so that attitude puts us in a higher position that no one can bring us down from to their level. And it's simply nurturing our own compassion, our own kindness, our own forgiveness. These muscles that we all have, that we can all be LeBron James at forgiveness and love and compassion. And we just have to remember, some people are acting like children. And just as we would never yell to a child for not understanding something or for acting impulsively, we all act at the level of consciousness that we currently have. And we would never judge someone for not healing from their trauma. All we can do is be there for that person when they're ready and show them that the door is open and show them our example by healing ourselves. That source that we have access to, that we have the full ability to change, that will change our family around us through example, and changing our community, the city, country, and the world. This is how it happens. We expand our consciousness. Only when we are self-focused, when we feel someone should have done something differently to us, do we feel stress. And so to be selfless is the most selfish thing we can do. And when we become selfless, there is no more stress, because there's no more expectation for how people treat us. There's no more desire for everyone to treat us a certain way. We simply accept people and their messiness, because it is a richer life to live connected than to live separate. And we can only have that when we learn to accept people as they are. We can have relationships that are mutually enriching, and we can stay mindful at all times of our stress levels. So many of us are unaware that we may be yelling at somebody right after checking social media, and we're looking up and we just read some terrible news story or some infuriating post, and someone speaks to us and we just scream. And so when we become mindful of what is always going on, not just in our thoughts, but underneath, what is our breathing like? Is it calm and relaxed, or is it shallow and tense? The more we make staying mindful of our body and thoughts, the more we notice stress start to rise. The more we practice that, the more we notice what makes the stress start to rise, and the more we can not just stop it after it starts, but we can prevent it before taking over it all. And that is the key to never losing our temper or getting stressed by people ever again. We need to become our greatest support and source of self-love. Only we can heal ourselves. Other people can help us remember that we can and need to heal ourselves. But ultimately, we are our own healers. And when we take that strength and power back, when we dedicate ourself to ourself, we give ourselves that space. We hold ourselves in that peaceful space of healing. It is very natural to think that someone else can fill that person-sized hole in our lives. But at the end of the day, the more we give our hearts out without being incredibly cautious of who we're letting access to that heart, and we can only regain that connection when we heal and start to feel. And we have to feel everything. We have to feel every single emotion. We have to really look at it, face it. It's going to be scary. It's going to be the last thing we want to do. And the more we become the peaceful witness of all of that chaos, then we create distance. And when we have distance, we have freedom and agency and autonomy. And we take that power and control back, and we are able to move forward with trauma. So often in our lives, we think we need to change something, and we really want to fix something, work on something, and achieve something, and we have this constant state of discontent, agitation, and stress and fear because we are hoping for some future outcome. The thing that is wild about this universe is the more we give up, the more we achieve. The more relaxed we are working towards a goal, the easier that work is, the more work we get done because it doesn't feel like work. And so if we can fully accept ourselves right now, right here, broken heart, if we can fully say, I don't need to change, this is what's happening inside of me and it's fine, I can handle it, let's deal with it, let's see what's going on. We don't need any resistance or fear. Then something wild happens. When we no longer seek to change anything, we have unshakable confidence, and change becomes easy. Change becomes faster than we ever imagined. Change and progress and healing and growth happen at lightning speed when we fully love, embrace, and accept this present, peaceful, and maybe sometimes chaotic present moment. Suddenly, we're not wasting energy, stressing over anything. We are more energized. We are more confident, more courageous, more sure and willing and able to achieve any change we want the moment we accept who we are and where we are right now.